Lough Neagh, Northern Ireland's vast freshwater heart, supplies water to nearly half the population and is home to rich wildlife like whooper swans and rare pollinators. But this national treasure is facing challenges from nutrient runoff and habitat loss. That's where local farmers step in. Through DAERA's environmental farming scheme, over 140 farmers are making real changes, restoring wet grasslands, planting buffers, and boosting biodiversity. Leading the way is Michael Maherg, coordinator of the Lough Neagh EFS Group project and a farmer himself. On his land near the Crumlin River, he has implemented fencing, hedgerows, and traditional moiled cattle grazing to protect water quality and wildlife. Join us as Michael shows how farming and nature can thrive together.
Farming over the years has been very intensive in Ireland, and particularly in Northern Ireland. And government has been concerned about this, that there's been less and less room for wildlife and for biodiversity. And so under the environmental farming scheme, which was an agri-environment scheme, public money was available for farmers who wished to take on actions that would benefit wildlife on their farms. A farmer could take actions that would improve water quality in rivers like the one we're standing beside now, and be involved in carbon capture through planting woodlands, hedges and trees, and also then to enhance wildlife by looking at either habitat within the farms, that'd be wildflowers, wild plants, putting up bird boxes, and just involve themselves in a way that's positive for nature, for wildlife, for water quality and for carbon capture.
Unfortunately, we've seen a biodiversity crisis and an ecological crisis on Lough Neagh with the blue-green algae that we've seen on our TVs and seen in person at the mouths of our rivers over the past number of years. We know there's excess nutrients going into Lough Neagh, that the bed of Lough Neagh is a sink in itself, so even if we stop everything tomorrow, it would take 30 years for it to rectify itself with the seepage of the phosphates and nitrates that are there. So we essentially, you fix the rivers, you fix the lough. It's the rivers that are carrying the pollutants into Lough Neagh. We are a period of the year as well where the start of the year has been extremely wet. The fields are saturated. That's just going to lead to more runoff into the waterways and not help address the problems that we're facing. We have the advent of a zebra mussel that is making the water clear. That's allowing more sunlight in, which is increasing the temperature, and that is having a long-term impact on the ecosystem that we know. We need more studies to indicate the overall impact, but we also need to look at methods to help reduce that temperature with the added clarity, the increase in temperature because there's more sunlight penetrating. If we can plant more trees along our rivers, which essentially shade the water and stop it getting warmer, we can see long-term benefits to doing that, and that's the work that we hope to engage on.
The tributaries of Lough Neagh, like the Crumlin River here, are fenced off, and by fencing off you stop nutrients flooding into the rivers and stop cattle and livestock getting down into the water. Cattle in particular have the unfortunate habit of going to the toilet when they're drinking from a river, and that adds all nutrients into the system, but also trampling the bank edges so you get a lot of siltation. And this isn't good for fish in the river, for breeding, or ultimately for the quality of water that goes down into Lough Neagh. So buffer strips are very much a part of the environmental farming scheme and the new sustainable catchment programme, and they're really, really important in terms of absorbing nutrients from the land, but also in keeping cattle out of the rivers.
This is what we're at this time of year, is getting ready to plant. We're planting some copses on a site. That's just little groups of trees. Don't have to always plant a full woodland. And I'm getting them set into little bundles. So we've got some rowan here, mountain ash, and some birch. And this lovely green-stemmed one is called spindle. It's a beautiful pink berry on it. People don't know it as much. It's a sort of hedgerow plant, I think. We've got some oak, and then we've got hazel. And it's quite a damp site we're planting in, so all of those species don't mind the damp. So it's important to make sure you choose the right species for the right type of site. And then all we do is put a cane in with them and a guard. These are particularly important if you've got rabbits on the site, but they're also very good for just letting the the little tree get up above the grass and grow until it pops out the top. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 5. That one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3. That's the other one. 5. The trees really, from when they go in, they start to capture the carbon and put it right down, drawing the nutrients into their roots. And at the same time, then they're releasing oxygen. So the carbon's the baddie and the oxygen's the goodie in terms of our climate change and our atmosphere. So it's lovely to think that these trees, just from having planted them, are just carrying on doing the good they do. And then, of course, the benefits from biodiversity is amazing. We have noticed such a difference. There's always birds singing in this area now. And for the first time, some buzzards nested in the trees over this area. And real pleasure last summer in finding a little redpoll's nest, and they're quite a rare bird. They have a little stripe, and I know quite a few of the trees have nests in them, and that's when the trees are quite young, so it can only get better and better. And this pond here, we're hoping we haven't newts in. It's only about 2 years old now. It'll take a while to settle, but yeah, there's tadpoles in it last year, and hopefully we'll get some newts in it this year. The financial viability is the flexibility again of a small woodland grant. You don't lose your basic farm payment on it, and you get an income for 10 years for maintaining it. And then, of course, at the end, you have the choice of cutting some of the trees or for firewood, or pruning them and using them for different things. So having a look round at other farms in the area, in the catchment of Lough Neagh, I think most farmers would have a wet spot, an area that's not growing or growing grass that well for the cattle. These sort of rushy fields are very typical here, and it's a fantastic alternative with so many benefits. And as I say, that you don't forfeit a basic farm payment too, and you end up with a woodland that's got lots of other uses and benefits.
Come on. You get your head out of there. Irish moiled cows are one of the ancient species of Ireland, or the ancient breeds of Irish cattle. The Irish moiled cow, through the environmental farming scheme, because it's a rare breed, the breeders have kept a very close DNA profile of their animals, and it's quite different from other domestic cattle. And because of that, it was recognised in the Northern Ireland Biodiversity Strategy as worth protection. And so through the environmental farming scheme, funding was given to people who have these cows, because they're maybe not just as commercial as other cattle in terms of the size that they grow to and the beef that they produce in terms of volume, but in terms of quality it's much higher. But because the volume isn't there and isn't as high, a subsidy is given through the environmental farming scheme to ensure that the breed can be kept on. And you can keep up to 18 cattle, and you get a subsidy on each one of those within your scheme. You can keep more than you want, obviously, but you get paid for up to 18 cattle. They're a very quiet cow by nature. You can see that I'm walking through them here. They're very much at home, and they're very easily calved, tend to calve naturally on their own. One other thing that's of note about Irish moiled cattle is that, and also a lot of traditional breeds, is that they have particularly large feet. And the reason for this is that they've evolved in soft ground in Ireland, all our soft, wet ground, and they don't sink in as much as some of the dainty-footed continental types that we have here now. So they're a really good animal from that point of view. Agri-environment schemes and systems to encourage nature and to encourage improvements in water quality and in growing trees have been on the go for many years, over the last 30 or 40 years. However, the focus more recently is that agriculture and business do tend to get more focused and more intensive as time goes on. And so in recognition of that, government is saying that what we want to do is to ensure that there is a space for nature and there's a space for wildlife on farms. And rivers and water systems, lakes in particular, are very, very important sites for wildlife. And if you're in the catchment of a lake or a river, government is identifying that, well, you've got to do something at source. You've got to do something. You can't just go to the lake and say, we're going to improve the quality of wildlife on this lake. You've got to look at the entire catchment. And Lough Neagh is a large lake in the centre of Northern Ireland, for example, but But the catchment is vast. 40% of the land area contributes to the quality of the water that's in that lake. And so government is saying, we're going to take the public money that goes into agri-environment schemes, and we're going to spend that right across the catchment to improve water quality at source, working with as many farmers as possible to improve the water that runs off the land.